Well, well, well. Welcome again, one and all. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy everything this time of the year. Good growing. Great growing. We are back. It is Garden America. Brian Main, John Pagnasco, Tiger Palafox. Up and underway. We trust you're having a good holiday season so far. Thank you for taking time out to join us, spending a part of your weekend with us, carving out some holiday time. We do appreciate it. And we've got a good show lined up today. No guest because we are the guests, as we like to say. John's got a great poem in the newsletter. Tiger's back from Hawaii. I drove in from my home this morning.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound as nice as your Hawaii
not
trip.
As exciting.
John's poem.
John wrote a poem. I just came back from a trip, and you're like, hey, I'm here.
I just drove in from home. I drove in. So, John, welcome. And Tiger, welcome. You had a safe trip. You had a good time, right, Tiger?
Yeah, had a good time with the family. It was nice to spend time with the family during the holidays. A little bit different than what we're accustomed to. The cousins all played well, and we got to hang out with, brothers and sisters and grandma, and it was good. It was a good time.
Like a semi-family reunion, kind of?
Yeah, exactly. But it was nice just to kind of have everybody in one place, a little less stressful, I think, than kind of, during the holidays at home, presents and all that, a little bit more relaxed.
And that's the way it should be. And John, already, Tanya says that she loves your poem. Which John wrote?
John wrote that.
He wrote that.
But like everything. Like,
It wasn't that hard. It was just a takeoff on the night before Christmas.
There was a little bit of plagiarism, but not enough to where somebody would notice, Tiger.
Yeah?
I noticed it, but I think we're good.
You think I could still be president of Harvard if I wrote that?
Nice. See the way he segued into that?
Yeah.
Keeping trends
I just
alive.
had a Christmas miracle. I had no idea what I was doing here, and all of a sudden the show's up. I'm on Facebook. I can see what's going on.
The volume's down.
Yeah.
It is a Christmas
and
miracle.
John, as you watch our show...
Oh, you know what? I didn't even turn off my phone.
As you watch your show, our show, I should say,
Yeah.
how do you look? Do you think you look good? How do you look on camera? Because he spends the most time in the green room.
Well...
you and I are in and out in 10 minutes. He's asking for coffee.
Today I spent a lot of time in wardrobe.
Yeah, his clothes are always...
And let's talk about, John, that's a very nice sweater. What'd you pay, $50 for that?
Actually, my son paid $50 for it.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah.
Very wee kid. So again, welcome one and all. We've got a good group of people, I should say, tuned in. Carolyn says John is very talented. That is up for debate. We'll discuss that later on in the show.
I was trying to. I had Tanya's comment here in a second. By the way, I want to say thank you to everyone who sent Christmas cards and Christmas wishes our way.
Yeah.
And
yes.
And I know some of our listeners have been to my house, so
and some without you knowing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And thank you, Carla, for the nice postcard of her and her family. I'm not sure if they took that in Hawaii or not, that picture. But anyway, we really appreciate that. But it made me wonder how so many people have my address.
A lot of people have your address.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
John at gardenamerica.com, I can see.
Yeah. Now, let's see. Daniel Travers, our webmaster, says, good morning. I believe he's in St. Louis. Hakeem from Pakistan. Good morning, mates.
Good morning.
Oh.
Yeah, good morning, Hakeem. Hope all is going well during the holidays for you.
Rick says it's 24 degrees.
24.
So a little heat wave in Idaho, huh?
Star Idaho.
Yeah.
That's
they're
cold.
They're out in shorts and flip-flops right now.
Sure. So let's see. Merry Christmas.
Yeah, I've been gone for a while. So you said that San Diego was expecting a storm.
So last weekend
didn't happen.
Last weekend, and again, you can many sources to get the weather, right? Whether it's Siri, whether it's Google, whether it's Alexa, whatever. So for the most part, they said this is last Monday. It's going to rain every day this week. It'll get heavier as the week progresses.
And I think yesterday was supposed to be the
big
most
one.
amount.
And they talked about thunder showers. We got spit on a little bit, and that was it.
That was it.
Because I was looking forward to the plants getting some good water.
Yeah.
And they got a little bit, but it wasn't. North in L.A., I guess they got flash flooding in parts of Northern California, but nothing really here unless it went inland. I'm thinking maybe it went into the mountains and deserts, but
Maybe.
coast got nothing.
But other than that, it's been nice weather.
Been nice, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice and sunny all day yesterday.
So you had what, 80s, 85 degrees in Hawaii?
You know, it's Hawaii. I was on Oahu, and we were near Honolulu. So, for people that need to know area, because every place in Hawaii is different too. You know,
Little
every
microclimates?
island. Well, yeah, every island,
Yeah.
and even on the islands, it's a little bit different. So,
I saw it snow in Hawaii once.
yeah, up on top of the mountain, up on the volcano.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, I mean, the high was 80, the low was 70.
Yeah.
So that was the
It's nice.
range. But I will say it was cool for them. Like it didn't get real hot. It was
Right.
cool, and it was a little bit cloudy and a little bit rainy. And it was funny because they were talking about how cold it was there. All the people that live there were talking about how cold it was.
Sure. Right?
And I mean, it was 70.
It was nice. Now, was it very humid?
No. It wasn't humid. It was rainy, but not humid because it wasn't hot enough to be humid.
Right.
You know, like the high was 80s, but it really never got 80. It got like 77. And
There's usually a nice breeze too, right?
oh, that was the other thing too, is
Yeah.
that there was some wind. There was some wind during certain parts of the day. That wind would blow through. And I remember we went to a luau one night. And during the luau, I thought it was like a hurricane wind.
Really?
It was so windy. It was crazy.
But it was a warm wind?
It was 75 degree
Okay.
wind. I wouldn't say that's a warm wind. It wasn't Santa Ana warm. Yeah.
Because I'm trying to think when Eric and I went to Hawaii, what time of the year it was.
Uh-huh.
I think it was summertime because the North Shore was kind of flat,
Okay.
but you saw some decent swells.
Yeah, that, you know, there was definitely surf. There definitely was wind. And the one thing, too, the part of the island that we were on in Oahu, they were talking about how, last month this was all brown. You know, they described it as a very dry section of it. And they were just talking about how brown it all was, very dry. And now in the past month, they've gotten some rain and it's all greened back up. But it wasn't like that before a month ago.
I was surprised that Hawaii had a dry season,
Yeah, right?
almost like California,
Yeah.
because California reminds me of Hawaii during our rainy season. You know, it's everything greens up, and
Yeah.
then the hills are brown after that. But I was surprised to be on Maui one time and see brown hills, just like California.
Yeah. And you look at them, and just like California, you know they go green during a certain time of year,
Right.
but it's just not when you're there.
Right.
And yeah. And it's kind of cool to see a lot of the same plants. I mean, Brian, you were talking about when you were there and you saw the pothos leaves and how big they
How
get.
big, yes.
Yeah, and that is really neat to see because there are a lot of plants there that do really, really well there because of the weather, because of the rain, because of the soil. But there's also a lot of plants that kind of blow me away in the sense of, you know, the Caesalpinia, the Mexican bird of paradise. That's a plant that you'll find growing on the side of the road in Arizona, but then you also see it growing there. And it just kind of blows your mind that this plant that can survive with like 1 inch of water every year
Right,
can also
right.
be in an area that, you know, gets 40 inches of water every
I
year.
guess they get used to their environment.
Yeah.
If this is what you're going to give me, I'll take it. You're going to give me more, that's fine as well.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a cactus and succulent garden right on the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
And I was looking at it and I thought, this is the saddest thing I've ever seen.
All by itself?
It looked like they were kind of melting. It was it was just horrible. Definitely not the environment.
We can do the quote of the week just prior to our first break.
Oh, that's easy for you to say.
As we segue from segment 1 to segment 2, taking a break for our sponsors on Biz Talk Radio. By the way, Biz Talk Radio, fans and listeners, this is last week's show, so we will be referencing Christmas probably, but that was last week as far as you're concerned.
What? Where am I?
But in between New Year, the New Year.
And the quote, Brian, is, "At Christmas, I'm always struck by how the spirit of togetherness lies also at the heart of the Christmas story. A young mother and a dutiful father with their baby were joined by poor shepherds and visitors from afar. They came with their gifts to worship the Christ child." and that was from Queen Elizabeth II.
Number 2. We call her Queen 2, I think, don't we? Queen number 2.
You know, there's a very famous rose called Queen Elizabeth,
Yes.
which is purported to be the first grandiflora rose, which is a class that most people don't recognize anymore. But that one's been very popular. But there was also a rose called Lilibet, which I think was Queen Elizabeth's nickname as she was growing up.
Yeah.
It is break time, so do stay with us. Those on Biz Talk Radio, Facebook Live. Much quicker break on Facebook Live. Those of you on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for tuning in. It is Garden America, and again, our Christmas edition, as it were. Holiday season here. Good gardening. Your garden buddies, Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, returning after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All righty, we are back from the break. We hope you had a good break, as we did here, sitting in the studio, broadcasting as we do most each and every weekend from the iHeart Media and Entertainment Studios, right here in San Diego, California, Southern California. So thank you for joining us wherever you are across this country and around the world, as it were, because many, many people tuning into the show. Doesn't matter where you are. Many ways to listen and watch us, John, as you well know. So there you have it. That's the update on Garden America.
You know, our friend Tanya in San Jose posted something that reminds me of my youth. She said that they're expecting 26 people for Christmas dinner, 7 of them kids.
You have to have a lot of energy to host a party like that.
Yeah.
Right? The planning and just...
You know, Tanya seems like she has a lot of energy.
And I'll bet she has a nice backyard, too, in Tucson, right?
No, she's
I'm
San
sorry,
Jose.
San Jose.
Yes.
San Jose, right.
Kim is in Tucson.
Kim, that's right.
You know, you got to keep the listener straight.
I
Brian.
know.
Get it together.
I caught myself quickly.
Is Queen Elizabeth Rose a pink one?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was
Why?
white.
No.
No, it's a pink one. Because Lenore posted, she said she had one. Lovely pink one.
Right.
But
You might be thinking of Queen Mary, too.
I was going to say,
Queen Mary
just
too,
say-
yeah.
they're the same person, aren't they?
No.
Queenie,
not-
too.
no, not at all.
John, you said that, factually speaking, everything is coming up roses in your garden right now. I mentioned green planets blooming for me, and you've got to keep them dormant, though. You can't start trimming them, right? You're going to let them just do their thing?
Yeah, I mentioned to you how hard that was for me right now because even after a rain, a little bit of rain, the petals
Yeah,
fall off. You
sure.
want to clean them up. You want to deadhead them. And it's just like, no, guys, I'm really sorry. You've got to go dormant. We'll set some hips if you want.
Right.
But I like you, Brian, I pruned late this year. So normally you start pruning right after New Year's.
I know. I
So-
pruned a month ago.
I know. So
Little early.
I'm not sure what I'm going to do. I think I'll prune maybe when I get back from Hawaii. I'm going to be there at the end of the month.
Yeah.
By the way, happy birthday to my son, Jesse.
Today's
Yeah,
his
happy
birthday.
birthday.
Today's
Jesse.
his birthday.
Hope Jesse's watching, listening, or tuned in. Otherwise, what good does it do?
Why-
I would say none of those things.
Why did he get you a present on his birthday?
Oh, actually, he gave me this for my birthday.
Oh, okay.
We're talking about the sweater. John,
sweater.
Yeah, John's
Exactly.
sweater, which it's a Gucci sweater, right?
It is a Gucci sweater.
Yeah.
Gucci, Gucci,
Went
goo.
online to see how much it was. It's like $1,500 new, but he got it on eBay for $50.
What's that
We,
little?
we like to call that vintage.
What's that
Vintage,
little?
right.
The little red dot, though. What's that red dot?
What?
Seinfeld reference
Yeah.
Right.
for the cashmere sweater.
Yeah.
And as soon as you notice it, I had a spot on a hoodie last week. I'm like, oh, really? It's new.
Oh no.
Yeah, and Dana's like, nobody will know it's there. Yeah, but
You do,
I
and
know
you
it.
see it every time.
I know it's there.
Yeah.
A couple of times in the wash, a little bit of shout. I think we got rid of it.
The worst is
The worst.
The worst is on a light colored shirt or sweater and then like a coffee stain, because it fades just enough for it to really not be that noticeable.
it's there.
But in the right light, and then it's there, so you can see it. Yeah.
I think what I said, if we can't get this out, just throw it in the washer and bleach it, and just see how it comes out. Just throw some bleach in. They might as well, right? If you got a spot that bugs you,
Yeah.
just ruin the whole thing and act like it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah, there you go.
I've tried that before and used so much bleach that the material disintegrated.
just the whole
It just goes away.
I didn't know
when
that it
you
would
open
do
up the
that.
washer, it just disappeared.
Yeah, I
You get bleach holes.
like the smell of bleach.
And then what was the last thing I did that was
Silly?
something else like that was really bad? Oh, I was cleaning up the garage. We're still unpacking from the move 2 years ago. And I had some old tennis shoes. And I said, you know what? I bet if I put these in the washing machine, they'll come out and they'll be like new.
Were they white?
So there were 4 pairs, different colors.
Okay.
Put them in the washing machine, and they came out, and they looked like they were brand new. And I should have let it go there, but I put them in the dryer.
What?
No, you open them up and put them outside.
Yeah, well, I didn't
Why
know
would
that.
you
I
put
put
them
them in the
dryer.
Well, now I know, Tiger.
Jeez, I didn't even know not to do that.
So
And-
the bottoms came pulled away.
Oh yeah.
So I had to throw them out.
Maybe if you put it on delicate or something like that in the dryer, but not hot.
I don't
No,
know.
you
It's everything.
pull those tongues up and let them air out outside.
Well, where were you guys when I needed you?
Right?
I'm a phone call away. I'm a text away. You know that.
I do my own wash now that I'm unemployed and Shannon has a full-time job. But, she's got all her clothes separated. She does her own wash too. But they're all separated by colors and things.
Oh yeah.
I do mine once a week. Everything goes
Everything
in.
goes. Yeah.
That's what Dana's
Yep.
separating. And I'm like, as long as you use cold water, I don't think it really matters. I throw everything in there.
Yeah.
I don't even know what I use. I push a button, throw in a Tide Pod, then pull everything out and put it
Well,
in
at
the
least
dryer.
you don't eat the Tide Pod.
I shouldn't say this because I'm sure it's going to be something's going to go wrong. So we've got this. We've got the same washer and dryer that I bought back in, I want to say 2012,
Oh, nice.
and still running. Not a problem. Maybe little things here and there. But
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, one of these days. It's
Yeah.
just I think we're on borrowed time right now.
You kind of are. I mean,
You know?
it's what 13, 12,
Yeah.
11 years
It's
old.
all computerized. It's all
Yeah.
it's a good unit. But I'm thinking, one of
Oh,
these
you hit
days.
a nerve with Dana.
Uh-oh.
She says, Brian and I have this ongoing battle regarding washing colors and whites.
Yeah, I just throw everything in there. Everything's separated. Like she's whites here and the darks
Well, you
here.
don't throw her stuff in with yours, do you?
No.
No.
You know what? I'm so glad I've got a filter now. 'Cause- anyway,
What does it mean when someone
Airing out your dirty laundry.
when someone when someone posts all capital letters? It matters, Brian.
stop yelling at me, Dana.
Oh.
Well, at least she's involved in the show today. We like it when you're involved in this show.
Yeah, right.
And those on Biz Talk Radio can get involved too live if you go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show. Every Saturday, we start things off at 8 o'clock on the West Coast, 11 o'clock Eastern Time Zone, and you can participate and join all of our garden followers here in the comments.
Carla points out that's yet another difference between men and women.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. Gardening.
Yes.
We're going to do a gardening show next year. We hope.
Yeah, we hope.
Back for another year, maybe. Oh, Carolyn says, by the way, Brian, I was going to get into something, but let me detour for a moment. She says, after a while, Brian's clothes will be all one color, and the only pieces that survive are that treatment are going to be wearable. I don't know. She says her youngest son does the same thing.
Yeah.
You're probably the same age as Carolyn's youngest son.
I don't know. Okay, we've got less than a minute before the next break. Rick says he received his tomato seeds from Wild Boar Farms, $50 worth.
Oh,
Wow, that's a lot.
What are some exciting varieties you got, Rick?
You know who Wild Boar Farms is, don't you?
Yep.
Yeah, they're the ones who, oh, God, his name just escaped me.
Yeah, I can't remember his name.
We're going to take a break.
Good friend of mine.
We're going to take a break.
If I
So
think of his
say
name
that
during
now.
the break.
John can remember his good friend here on Garden America. A break for Biz Talk Radio, quicker break for Facebook Live. So no guest today, it's just us. So questions, comments, those of you on Facebook, right there on the comments page, and we'll do our best to address it. If we don't give you the correct answer, we'll at least try to steer you in the right direction. Back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. All right, we are back as we continue on this Christmas weekend here. Garden America in studio, Brian Main, John Bagnesco, Tiger Palafox. What is on your mind? Looks like the comments so far for the past 5 minutes or so have been laundry tips, or the way you do your laundry or don't do your laundry, separating colors, the whites, the reds, the pinks, so on and so forth.
Bradley
John,
Gates.
you wanted to get back into
Oh, Brad Gates.
yeah,
Yeah.
Brad Gates. You
Yeah.
wanted to get back into talking gardening. For what reason,
Well,
I don't know, but go ahead.
Well, Brad Gates owns Wild Boar Farms, and who's that?
That's Dana. That's Dana now texting him.
She says, Brian, I'm sorry to embarrass you in front of all the listeners and viewers on Facebook.
I'm
So on
going to
and
go
so
do
forth.
your laundry right now.
I'm doing your laundry now as we speak.
Oh, that's nice.
And I'm
That's
going
your
to throw
Christmas
everything
present.
in. I'm going to throw the colors and whites in all together. How nice.
Dude, throw in some tennis shoes while you're at it.
Rick.
Oh, God, I got
Tomatoes.
so much. Wild Boar Farms.
Wild
yeah.
Boar
Yeah.
Farms.
You know, Brad started out with, he wanted colors that were, or tomatoes that were visually appealing as well as tasting good. So he came out with all kinds of stripes, and then he started using the indigo rose tomato in his breeding. So he brought anthocyanins, the antioxidants from blueberries, into the tomatoes. And he did a great job. And we worked with, when we had tomatoes at Supernaturals, and we were discovering new varieties of tomatoes.
What did he bring in from blueberries? Again, it was...
It's not from blueberries, but tomatoes have lycopene, as you know.
Right.
But they don't have anthocyanins, which is another important antioxidant. But you can get anthocyanins from blueberries. And normally anything purple that you eat has anthocyanins in it. So they discovered a tomato species in the Galapagos Islands that had anthocyanins in it. And Jim Meyer at Oregon State brought that tomato, crossed it with modern tomatoes, and put the anthocyanins in modern tomatoes. So you can get any tomato that has a little purplish cast to it has anthocyanins.
What would be one off the top of your head?
Indigo rose.
Indigo rose.
Was the first one.
Okay, indigo rose. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And there was some question about flavor because that wild tomato didn't taste good, but it was from the Galapagos, and you know how long those tortoises live, so obviously anthocyanins are good for you, right?
It should be. Absolutely.
So anyway, they've been crossing them, and more the blue tomatoes are improving in flavor. So anyway, those are some. Then he's got, and Tiger, you had one that was, what was it called? Atomic grape or something?
Yeah, he has a whole atomic series. Like a atomic gold. Yeah, and
they were
just
more
really-
cherry type or elongated cherries.
elongated cherry type.
Yeah.
Yeah, just looking at all the varieties that they have now, and I'm wondering which ones Rick got, because the cool thing about them is that all the colors, but then he also does a lot of the different size ones. So slicing, cherry, medium size kind of steak tomatoes as well. And, but then the colors, like he's got blonde boar, which is a white tomato. And, so I wonder what sparked Rick's interest, because Wild Boar Farm, the website, it's kind of hard. I mean, you go through a list of hundreds of tomatoes, and it's like, which ones am I going to get? Yeah. And then when you're buying seed packages, you end up buying obviously way more seeds than what you really need. So then you are going to have these seeds for a little while, a couple seasons, because you only need, especially with the cherry tomatoes, you only need 1 or 2 plants, if that. Especially if you're doing different varieties.
I was, as I was putting together Christmas presents for you and Brian, one of the things I was thinking of giving you, Tiger, was I had all these tomato seeds.
I was going to say a drawer full of seeds.
Well, they were from Tatiana's. So they were a lot of the...
she does tropicals, right?
She's in Florida, right? Isn't she in Florida?
That's top
Okay.
That is Top Tropicals. This is Tatiana's tomato base.
Huh?
No, I've never.
This is no relation. Just
okay.
The name is the same.
Okay.
But she grows tomatoes, and she's got if you search up Tatiana and tomatoes, you'll find information on hundreds and hundreds of varieties of tomatoes.
And so you went and bought a whole bunch of tomatoes from this tomato grower.
Well, way back when I was working at Plug Connection and we were doing this. And so I thought, I get 10 of these varieties and put them together in a Christmas card for Tiger. And then I thought, I'm looking and it says packed for 2011.
Give it a try.
And I'm thinking, well, I'm sure that some would have still grown, but I thought Tiger's going to look. Yeah, he opened up a drawer, found something that he wasn't going to use, and
your
gave it to me.
Your presentation was wrong. You should have said, Tiger, here's an experiment for you.
Yeah. Just put them all in a Ziploc baggie.
Yeah. I've held on to these for the last 12 years.
Just like that sweater is vintage.
Yeah.
These are vintage tomato seeds.
Right, they're old school tomato seeds, and we want to see if they're going to grow from 2011.
By the way, Gina posted that this wasn't garden related, but if you're looking for a good Christmas movie, The Christmas Candle on YouTube is great.
Okay.
The Christmas candle.
On YouTube.
And Veronica's got a question too, John, below that.
Well, let's see. I've got to scroll down to it.
Okay, well, she has 2 lovely poinsettias in pots that are 3 years old. She believes while blooming, no fertilizer, but then when I do fertilize, because I only toss a couple of handfuls of new soil in the spring.
That sounds like the way you grow things.
Yes, that's why I can relate. Let's see. When do I fertilize? Hold on. Let me see. Okay.
This is radio brand, not television.
I know. I only toss a couple of handfuls of new soil in the spring. I guess she's asking basically how and when to fertilize.
Well, let's see here. You've got poinsettias are euphorbias. Euphorbias are succulents, so they're related to some of the succulent
Which
euphorbias.
means they retain water? Do they retain water?
They're not a true succulent in that sense, but they are a little bit drought tolerant. So usually plants that are drought tolerant require less fertilizing. So just a little bit during the active growing season. So I would say when they're done blooming, cut off the old blooms and give them a little fertilizer then. And that would be late spring, and then maybe one more time the end of summer. Would you say the same thing, Tiger?
Yeah. And like you say, they really don't need, a lot of fertilizing.
Right.
And I'm trying to think of, a lot of times they'll just do like a water soluble one, but because in the soil they'll do like a well draining soil as well. So
and
just
then
something that goes right into the roots.
Rick listed all the varieties up there
did he?
of the tomatoes.
I gotta check it out.
And a lot too.
Yeah, he went crazy, huh? Rick's got a lot of area though, right? So
I have
he
no
can
idea.
he can plant a lot of varieties.
Gina says that she planted old seeds from you, John, and they still grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seeds last a long time. I think she planted some squash that did well. You know, they find seeds, Brian, that are 2,000 years old and they germinate.
Sure, of course.
As long as they're kept dry, usually, and out of the sun. Those are the two things you need to do.
I love the name. So, what names are better, roses or tomatoes? Because check this out. Here's Rick's haul here: Cherokee Rose, Lover's Lunch, Summer of Love, Pink Berkeley Tie Dye, Brad's Atomic Grape. Brad's Atomic Grape was the big,
Right.
That was the big atomic one right there.
Yeah.
Wine Jug, Cascade Lava, Atomic Sunset, Cosmos Eclipse, and he gave me a couple of samples.
Pink Berkeley tie-dye
Yes.
is a great tomato.
It's delicious.
Yeah.
Summer of Love I haven't heard of.
If you want to blow someone's
You were there, weren't you?
I wasn't there, but I was around.
and if you want to blow someone's mind too, that Pink Berkeley tie-dye, the outside of the tomato looks really cool, but the inside of the tomato looks even more amazing because it's a
Color and stuff?
It's a green, pink, yellow inside sliced tomato with very cool formation as well. And it's almost one of those things you know would be perfect for is when they do like the tomato with the basil and the mozzarella.
Right.
Yeah.
Caprese salad.
Caprese salad because you would see it. You know, I
Or
mean,
you would, yes.
like in a
'Cause
slicing
it's
tomato that you
sliced
put
and
into a
yeah.
burger or a sandwich,
You're not
you
gonna
don't
see it.
see the tomato.
It is break time again as we stay on track for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. One more segment, I should say, coming up for you with our number one. The rest of us on Facebook Live will just continue to cruise right on through this special holiday Christmas show. So continue the questions, the comments. We do appreciate it. Brian Main, John Bagnasco, Tiger Palafox, as we take a break for these messages on Biz Talk Radio.
Tiger.
Okay, we are back. Final segment for hour number one on Biz Talk Radio. Hopefully you can tune in and listen to us next hour for you. We come back at 6 minutes after. 2 hours every weekend on Biz Talk Radio. And, of course, we suggested Facebook Live. Go to our Facebook page, Garden America Radio Show. You can watch and interact live, gentlemen.
We have a lot of chatter going on right now, right?
A lot of chit-chatter, which we love.
All right, we're gonna get to everybody's questions. You answered the poinsettia one, which is always fun to do, is grow a poinsettia. Mm-hmm. The next question is, though, your thoughts on using spent coffee grounds for a fertilizer. Okay. Number one is that you can overdo it. You know, depending on how much coffee you drink, you could definitely put. A lot of people will put them in their houseplants.
And the houseplants start shaking.
That is not a good thing to do.
You hear them at night. They're up all night. Yeah. Don't go to sleep.
Yeah, do not put. I would not put coffee grounds in your houseplants. It's already way too much. Like, I don't care if you have a giant palm.
What about decaf?
the grounds is already too much.
Decaf coffee grounds.
It's not bad to put into a compost pile and mix in with other soil and then spread it around.
In other words, more of an additive instead of something by itself, right?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what?
I would just put it. I would put it like Tiger says in the compost pile, or if you want to mix a little bit around outdoor plants in the ground, it would be almost as a supplement that the bacteria can break down and use. But yeah, I wouldn't overdo it.
And they don't do anything. right? Like it's not like this is a great form of nitrogen or potassium or
Well, it is,
or phosphorus.
but
Or
it is
it?
organic,
Right.
and you're feeding the soil bacteria,
Right.
So I think it's beneficial,
No, but I'm saying like
especially in California because it does acidify the soil a little bit too, and our soils and water are always alkaline depending on where you are. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely is good to add to the soil, but like you're not adding a specific nutrient or something to your plants that you can kind of calculate. And then the other thing too is like you could never plant directly into coffee grounds. So
no, you wouldn't want to do that.
So if it's getting to the point where you're putting so much, because that's the thing, people will go to like the coffee shops where they have these 5-gallon buckets or these giant bags of used coffee grounds, and like, oh, I'm going to put it in my garden, and then they spread it like an inch thick over an area, and that's
in other
not
words,
good.
not so much, just a little bit.
Yeah, but if
I
you had a compost pile, I would definitely recommend putting it into there.
I have a question for you.
All right.
And it's one I really don't know the answer for, but I'm going to experiment
Go ahead
with
and
it.
type it in the comment section, John, and we'll
You
get
can't
to it
even
as
pull
soon as
up.
we can.
You can't even pull up that.
If I type in the comments section, I'm going to lose the whole show.
Yeah.
Jesse brought home a load of wood chips
Okay.
for mulch
Got it.
from a California pepper.
Okay.
Do you see any problem with using it?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, no. I mean, because, people don't like the pepper trees for a lot of reasons. Obviously, they're aggressive.
Messy?
They're very messy.
Yeah.
They're aggressive growing. And also, they find that, like a eucalyptus, nothing grows underneath it. But unlike the eucalyptus, where they talk about how it's because of the oils and, all of that mulch that falls down from the tree, a lot of times the pepper tree, why things don't grow underneath it are because of its aggressive roots, not so much with the actual plant foliage chemicals itself.
And I've noticed, or at least I felt over the years, that any kind of mulch that may have some type of toxins in it, eventually it'll just leach out.
Yeah, again, you're not using it as a 4-inch layer of, compost that you're planting in. You're just mulching, and should be good enough.
Okay. Brian, by the way, you were right earlier. You're talking about how maybe they got more rain up north. And Jan says up in Brentwood in the Bay Area says that she got over 2 inches. So her roses are loving it. Everybody's happy up there.
Yeah, I think I think what happened, it came south and then diverted east.
Okay.
East of us in the mountains and deserts.
We'll get more.
And then Carla? Or you got something before Carla? Carla's question?
Yeah, my 30-year-old pineapple guava. No. Yeah, my pineapple guava kicked the bucket. What is the best variety to buy? Of pineapple guava? Are there different varieties?
There probably are, but I don't know any varieties of pineapple guava.
Because all I know are the basics where you go pineapple guava, strawberry guava.
Right.
And then there's a few other varieties of guava.
Well, the Mexican guava, guayaba, does come in a lot of different varieties. And I think there's one that's called Vietnamese, a red Vietnamese or something. So,
but she's out there in Hamul, right?
Who?
Leanne Kim. Liam, is that?
Oh, you're talking about Lila?
Lila.
Lila's in Poway.
Poway. She's out there in Poway. So I kind of feel like the pineapple is probably one of the best varieties for her where she lives too, because the strawberry guava is a little bit more tropical.
Not really that useful, is it?
What?
The strawberry guava.
Oh,
that's the little
yeah,
tiny
as
one.
far as like useful. Yeah.
But the Mexican guavas are going to be the tropical guavas are going to be the ones that are the most tender.
Oh, yeah.
But I think they'd probably be okay there.
You do?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know sometimes, it can get really hot and then it can get cold out there. And I didn't know how. They're hardy, but sometimes they're a little bit more tropical.
I'm not sure what Carla's talking about here. I think it's a matter of semantics. because she wants to know if the coffee's not organic, are the grounds organic?
Oh gosh, this is so. So I think we can bring up the idea of organic seeds. Okay.
Okay.
People talk about organic seeds. Okay. An organic seed is kind of like you're saying, like semantics too, because the reason why they label a seed organic is because the way that plant was grown that produced the seeds is labeled organic.
Right.
But all seeds, I mean, I don't want to say all, because there are some that are coated with products. But I mean, if it's a seed package,
If it's a natural seed coming up from the earth,
it's organic. And then from there on
Automatically.
out, you grow it organically.
yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Carl is talking about with the coffee. Some
Yeah.
coffees are grown organically, which means no pesticides were used, but coffee is organic.
Right.
We got to go to a break. News coming up for our friends on Biz Talk Radio. Just about a 5 or 6 minute break. We come back at 6 minutes after with hour number 2. For the rest of us on Spacebook, for the rest of us on Facebook Live, not Spacebook Live, but Facebook Live, Tiger. We're going to be back even sooner. So do stay with us. Happy New Year, happy Merry Christmas, and everything else we celebrate this time of the year. Thank you for joining us here on Garden America. Back after a bunch of things happening on Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. Well, hey there. Those on Biz Talk Radio, if you're just joining us, welcome. This is hour number 2. For the rest of us, the rest of you on Facebook Live, we appreciate it. Whether you've been watching from the get-go or just tuning in, thank you so much. We are talking gardening. We've been talking organic coffee, a lot of things. And to keep those questions, comments coming on our Facebook Live comments page. And John, you wanted to address something?
Well, no, Tiger was just finishing up on the difference between growing organically and being organic.
Okay, because you said you had a lot to say during the break. I want to make sure we get to that.
Oh, yeah, but that's a new question.
New question.
Great.
Yeah. So, I mean, the idea that, if you're wanting to control things in your garden and to go from your garden to wherever, and you want to do it organically, that's one way to do it. Organic fertilizers, don't use pesticides. But to start from a seed and go organic, or to start with a compost or potting soil and then to go organic, from that, that's a different process. When you're doing that, you're more supporting the idea that you like things being manufactured or created organically, not so much that there's a difference in the actual product itself. Like, I mean, I would be very fearful of any coffee that you would be worried to put in your garden. Meaning, why are you drinking that coffee? You know what I mean? Like if there's a chemical, if there's a chemical in that coffee that you're scared to put in your yard, then I would be scared to drink that coffee because already. But so I don't think there's any requirement for the coffee grounds to be organic to put in your garden, because at the end of the day, it's just going to be coffee grounds,
right,
and then break down into the soil.
And John, wouldn't you agree with me that this term or this word organic means so many different things to so many different people? You throw organic in there, now you can charge 25% more for whatever it is. Oh, it's organic. And I love your take on organic bananas.
Oh, you mean because they they spray the skin and you peel that off and don't eat it anyway.
Right.
So,
So just be careful of the word organic whenever you see that.
yeah, I think the environmental zealots or activists are the ones who would, and I'm not saying anything's wrong with this, so if you're that type of person, don't send me an email. But they buy the organic seeds because they're thinking, as Tiger mentioned, about the environment.
Right.
So that means no chemicals were sprayed in the environment to create
they were
those
grown.
seeds. Right.
Yeah.
So,
But the
it's up
seed
to
is
you.
no different than
Right.
a seed that was not grown organically.
Right.
And then
It's what happens afterwards.
Yeah, and we had a farmer on a while back, Nick from the Valley, and he's like, any farmer, any grower doesn't want to use chemicals. It just adds to the cost. So a lot of these people just don't use these products in general because unless they really had to for the survivability of their crop.
But they may not be certified.
Yeah.
So they don't get a certification, even though they're just as organic as anyone
the
else.
other guy. Yeah. Okay.
Depends. Jose, was it Jose?
Oh, yeah, we got to scroll back up.
Jose said that he's used pepper mulch for years, and he said it doesn't affect anything.
Good to know.
Good to know.
Yeah, so he said it actually might work better than other mulches because
Really?
it suppresses weeds. Well, I don't know then if it's not doing anything bad, but that's good to know because I believe Jose's an arborist, so he's got experience with this. So
Yeah.
I'm not going to be afraid to use it.
Oh, and just to answer the question real quick from John and Bonnie, it's yes, from a pepper tree, not from a pepper plant. They asked,
Right.
I missed something about the pepper mold.
Right.
So pepper tree.
Yeah, from pepper trees.
Yeah.
And this is California pepper, and I don't know if there's a difference between California peppers and Brazilian peppers as far as
Mulching.
the mulch. But, I've seen people use oleander as a mulch and not have any problem with it.
Mm-hmm.
I like the creed that you live by, John. When in doubt, give it a shot.
Are they still around, by the way?
I haven't heard. You know what? Haven't heard their name in a long time. Could be.
Shannon and I were watching, what's the singing show? The Voice. We were watching The Voice, and someone sang the Higher song from Creed. Ended up winning, by the way.
Right.
But I was thinking at the time, where are those guys? I haven't heard from them.
When in doubt, give it a shot.
So Tiger Lila says that one of the varieties of pineapple guava is Coolidge, and that's the only one I've ever known of. That's the one that they used to sell, when I first came to California in the late 70s. But I'm sure there's been improvements since then. I'm just not aware of them. But
Yeah.
whenever you can get a named variety of something, it's usually going to be better because it's consistent, not just grown from seed. And I think most of the strawberry guavas are grown from seed. So you can check out the attributes of Coolidge, and every Coolidge plant you buy is going to be just like that.
Mm-hmm.
No relation to Calvin, I don't
Coolidge.
think.
Okay, waiting for that.
Yeah, and she says that there's a couple more that she's seen in nurseries, and like you say, like I don't know the difference specifically between all of them in detail. I mean, I was at the Dole plantation when we were in Hawaii,
Right.
and they have their test field set up right there outside of their shop,
Oh.
and I'm sitting there reading, and they put these numbers on these pineapples, and I mean, obviously to them there's big differences, but when I'm looking at them, I'm like, I don't understand the difference from one pineapple to the other pineapple.
Well, it would be the flavor, wouldn't it?
Well,
And maybe
color,
color,
flavor,
production.
size. There's a lot of differences to them.
If you'd never seen a pineapple in your life, and one day all of a sudden you saw one,
Why would you eat it?
why would you eat it? And
I always felt that about artichoke.
Are you kidding me?
Is it from? Is it from this planet?
If you saw one,
it's alien.
If you saw one, you're right. Why would you eat it? But once you opened it and then you tasted it,
Oh yeah,
you're like, this.
but it
is
looks
amazing.
so alien. It just and it's you can't touch it. You can't.
Why?
But
Why would you eat a coconut? Is what I'm asking. Those are not easy to open.
No, but I saw somebody with
How did you think to get in the middle of that?
there was somebody who was, you know how people, they take a machete and they try to crack
Yes.
them in half? There's a tool maybe made specifically for coconuts, and it was some little, looked like a nail bit, and you take a hammer and hit it twice, it goes right through and you can drink it.
Really?
A perfect little hole, yeah.
Yeah.
Ron mentions that for a farm to be certified organic, there's a transition period. There is a waiting period where you can't just announce, okay, I'm not going to use chemicals, so now I'm organic. It can be like 3 to 4 years without using that.
And it's very costly, too, because you have to keep paying for inspectors to come
Right.
out. And
Yeah, good way for the state to make money.
Veronica asked, Tiger, will you have the Berkeley tie-dye tomato this spring? Yes. That is for us, it's a common variety of tomato that we always stock at the nursery, is the Berkeley tie-dye tomato. So.
When we were selling online, that was probably one of the most popular tomatoes that we grafted. You know, when we worked with, I don't know if this is worth explaining. So just say, John, let's move on to something else if you
We
get
have
tired
2 minutes until the break.
Okay. Well, when we worked with Brad, Brad was an amateur breeder. And, you know, now he's been doing it for so many years. Maybe he's not an amateur anymore, but certainly not on the scale of the huge companies, huge seed companies. So one of the problems we would have is he would come up with a variety from seed, but that variety wasn't stabilized.
Yeah.
And by not being stabilized means if he would go and sell those seeds, you might have variation in the actual tomato, the size of the plants, the way they grew. So we would pick out varieties we really liked, and then we would take a year or so to stabilize those varieties because they're open pollinated, and to get them to always come true, you would have to go through that process. So on some of Brad's newer varieties, that might be a problem, but for the home gardener, it's okay. Just not for doing on large scales.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to depend on a million plant crop on something like that. But for you at the house, plant, 8 or 9 of the same seed, see which ones come up, pick out the strongest, and then go from there.
Now,
Lisa wants to know if you ship,
if
Tiger.
you ship.
Tomatoes. So for Tomato Mania, we do ship some tomatoes, but we don't ship tomatoes from the nursery. No. Is that what she's asking? Tomatoes?
Yeah, if she can buy tomatoes and have you ship them to her.
Oh, no.
I know you shipped one year for Gardener Supply.
Right. Yeah, we don't ship. We ship for Tomato Mania now, but not for Gardener Supply.
All right, we got to take a break. I think I'm running a little bit late here, gentlemen, for Biz Talk Radio, so do stay with us. These messages are for you, those listening on Biz Talk Radio. Stay with us. We are back from the break. This is Garden America, heard most weekends, each and every weekend on Saturday Live here on Biz Talk Radio as well, Facebook Live. You can also ask Alexa to play Garden America podcast. She'll play the latest edition. You can ask her for other episodes as well. And that's, you got to say Garden America podcast. That's what she understands, John.
Who asked?
So have those gone off all over the country now?
Alexa, play Garden America podcast.
Got no shame, Brian.
Hey, we were talking about tomatoes, Tiger.
Yeah.
So, every year you're very generous to give me a couple of tomatoes. You and I last year had not the cherry tomatoes, but a little bigger tomato, and we both agreed it didn't really do all that well.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of which one that was.
Yeah, but we had the same one, and you said, nothing much happened.
Yeah. But, somebody was asking about shipping Lisa tomatoes. And, Lisa, seeds for tomatoes right now, this time of year, buy seeds. They're you can get so many varieties and it's cheap and you can get exactly what you want. And from a seed to a plant, you're looking at a nice stable plant, maybe 8 weeks. and you can start them in a tray, and you can start them inside the house.
She says here, yes, but I'm a faithful viewer and listener and never miss a show. Does that mean anything to you?
I'll ship you some tomatoes, but like
And come to your house and plant them for
yeah.
you.
But I mean, it's so easy to get seeds nowadays from all these different varieties. Something really cool for you also. Like, that's the thing, is you can find a seed of a plant that will grow well for wherever you're at also, which, from a nursery, like, we're restricted by what a grower produces and sells to us.
Right.
And I would love to say we all have a great selection, and I think we do, but nonetheless, it's still nowhere near what,
What potentially you could get with seeds.
Yeah, exactly.
Carla posted a prayer about tomatoes.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. It's, "Oh, Lord, lead me not into temptation."
Definitely, yeah.
is-
Or you can end up like John and have 2 drawers full of tomato package seeds.
I think I can answer this question. My niece told me that in Costa Rica there are crocodiles in the Pacific Ocean. Is that true? There are saltwater crocodiles. There are freshwater crocodiles. The Nile crocodile, I believe, can survive in both saltwater and freshwater.
Uh-huh.
Somebody can correct me.
We're a long way from the Nile, though.
But you
in
didn't
Costa
answer a
Rica.
question. Do they have them in Costa Rica?
Well, they could. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody said yes, they do.
Well, Tiger, you've been there. Have you ever seen?
I've never seen a crocodile. I don't know.
You don't
You
worry.
know what?
Don't worry about sharks when you're surfing, but watch out for the crocodiles.
You know what?
Here we go. He's got a flashback here. It's a
Yes.
memory.
There was a creek that we crossed, and they specifically told us, do not swim across that creek. And I'm trying to think of if it was because of the sharks
Can I just tell you,
or for the crocodiles.
if I'm deep in a jungle anywhere in the world, you don't have to tell me not to cross or swim in a river. That just goes without,
That's an easy.
That's easy.
That's an easy
I don't
thing
need
for
that
you.
information.
Yeah.
There very well could be, though.
I think it was
I'm sure one of our
crocodiles.
listeners knows.
Yeah.
What about piranhas?
Costa Rica, piranha.
Are there?
I don't think so.
Piranhas won't necessarily. People think you fall in the water, they're going to come and,
I've seen
Just
the
attack
movies.
you.
Johnny
I've seen the
Weissmuller movies.
I've seen the movies.
Yeah.
it's a little hypey for the
Really?
piranhas to, I think if there's blood in the water, if there's a cut or something,
The same thing with sharks.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big shark guy anymore. I mean, the chances are slim, but it's you don't want to be the 1 in a millionth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be the one.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Costa Rica,
Yeah.
if you really want to find out, we're going to be going to Costa Rica in April. Now, it's
Yeah.
the 20th or the 21st through the 29th.
Yes.
So
That's correct.
The itinerary is on our page, our what do you call it? Our webpage?
Website.
Website.
What is that?
GardenAmerica.com.
The World Wide Web.
World Wide Web. GardenAmerica.com. Check it out when you hit the homepage. It's all right there with the itinerary. We would love to see you in Costa Rica with us on Garden America.
And there's somebody out there who is even worse than me at waiting to get a Christmas present, and you want to impress someone, you don't know what to do.
You can
Costa
do it
Rica.
right now.
You go to our website, print out the itinerary, put it in a nice card,
And say, here you go.
and just say, have a good time. Send me a postcard.
I'm sure that's a question we can ask when we're down there with our guide. Are there
Yeah.
crocodiles down here
Yeah.
in the ocean?
Yeah.
Well, I'm
I
sure
think-
you could Google it, can't you?
Yeah, but you know what? I've Googled a lot of things, and then you find out that's not really true.
Yeah. And-
I Googled you
and
one time.
Us at Garden. Yeah.
And
You
it's-
don't want to know what they say about
That's
you,
not
John.
true. John's not like that.
Yeah.
Hey, our friend from Georgia has a question.
All right.
Marina she said she read that fresh horse manure is acceptable for roses, and
Ooh.
she's used it because they have horses walking around our area. And do you agree with the recommendation, or is it better to use dried horse manure before putting it on the roses? A lot depends on the temperature and the time of year, because if you use it in the summer when it's hot, the manure also heats up as it breaks down, and it
Meh.
could affect the
Newer.
roses.
You have meh,
Ma,
and then newer.
newer.
It's a very nice word when you break it down, Tiger. Ma, which is not newer. Who doesn't like new, right?
That's right.
Ma, newer.
And who doesn't like Ma?
Absolutely.
George Costanza there. But my grandmother, when we lived in Detroit, cold weather, every fall, my grandfather would bring a truckload of fresh manure, and it would go in all the rose beds. So it would break down over the winter.
Did you smell them coming?
And the roses were going dormant anyway, so it didn't hurt. So if you can let it compost just a little bit, or not use it when it's quite so hot, Marina, you won't have to worry.
Or just spread it out thin, like you're saying. Depending on. But yeah, that's the biggest concern is the heat, the breaking down.
Right.
Which is great because it's actually there's something happening in it. Like if it wasn't hot, there was the whole organic process has already finished and it wasn't actively
But
going.
that's one of the best fertilizers for roses.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons is that the alfalfa
That they consume?
Yeah, and that contains a rooting hormone, which really helps the roses. So that's always been the one type of manure you couldn't buy at stores. I don't know why. You buy cow manure because of all the dairies maybe. In Michigan, we sold sheep manure.
I remember when
turkey manure.
Yeah, I remember when.
Turkey. Turkey, chicken, both.
I mean, maybe like 20 years ago, there was this huge influx of soils that came to the market, right? As far as like manures of everything, all kinds of manures.
Manure galore.
Yeah, exactly. And you're right, John. Like, horse was never one.
Right.
And
that's the best that you could use.
Best. We got to take a break, but we want to continue this manure conversation on the other side. A break for Biz Talk Radio. 2 more segments coming up. Do stay with us. And again, people chatting back and forth. Lisa said she wrote down Rick's list of tomatoes. So there you go. You're helping each other out on our Facebook page. This is Garden America, back after these messages on Biz Talk Radio. We are back from the break. Those on Facebook Live, you can see that our webmaster Daniel put the link to the Costa Rica trip right there on our Facebook page. Click that. Everything is right there. Love to see you. And we'll find out about saltwater crocodiles while we're there, Tiger.
or alligators.
Isn't it strange, though, surfing in a place you've never been?
Oh, yeah.
When you go out into the water, you don't even know what really is there.
Yeah. You don't want to think about that.
Especially at night.
Especially at night, yes. Yeah, the only reason why I can think that horse manure maybe it was not as popular as the other manures is horses are one of those, how would you call them?
Animals?
Well, like cattle, like crops, that you don't have large amounts usually in one spot. Meaning it's very easy to get cow manure, right? You have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cows at a dairy farm.
In a pasture, the same place.
Stockyard. Yeah, chickens.
But they sold Zoodoo. Which was tiger and elephant manure. You'd think that'd be harder to get than horse manure.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're right. That would be harder to get than
What
horse
do they
manure.
call a group of horses together?
I don't know.
That's
what I was trying to
you
say.
bring up a
Like
good
I was trying to say, what do you call this group of animals?
You got a pod of whales. You have a murder of crows.
You have a herd of horses.
Herd?
Thank you. Duh.
Is it?
It's a herd. Yeah, that's right. Like sheep. It's the same as sheep.
Same as sheep.
One of the 29 best things to do in Costa Rica, if you're thinking of joining us.
Coffee plantation, volcano, orchids.
Hang out with tigers.
Seeing crocodiles.
Really?
Seeing crocodiles?
That's what it says on the internet, so it must be true.
Does it say get up close and personal?
It says that Costa Rica has the largest concentration of American crocodiles.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, good to know.
And you didn't, but you don't recall seeing any when you were there?
I didn't see one.
Well, you will this time.
It says that occasionally they're seen in the ocean and on beaches, but it's rare.
And it also says occasionally somebody may lose a finger or a hand. Occasionally.
They're trying to brush its teeth.
Right.
But that
don't brush
being
the
said,
crocodiles.
Tiger, the Rio Tarcoles is known as the most crocodile-infested river in the country.
Really?
Yeah. That's where we're going kayaking, right?
So, hey, join us in Costa Rica. Actually, I think we're going to kayak, and I think we're going to do a swim meet, too.
Yeah,
a race to the other
swim.
side. And the beauty of that is you never knew how fast you could really swim.
Yeah. Well, and then that's the thing. Just like with, a bear or, a crocodile, you just got to be faster than the person next to you.
Absolutely. Yeah, exactly.
Recently, they reported a lot on the Playa Tamarindo. Tamarindo was a...
That's the river I was at.
Really?
That's the one. So it was
It
crocodile.
was crocodiles.
Because we were on one side of the beach and then we had to get to the other side of the beach. And if you look at it, you're like, oh, I can just swim across this, or I can just wade across it. And they were like, don't do it. Take the boat.
Do you have to really tell people not to do that?
If you don't know there's crocodiles in the water.
I don't care. If you're in a jungle.
This wasn't the jungle. This was on the beach.
There's piranhas.
So meaning,
watch out for the piranhas.
Meaning
the
on one side
crocodiles.
was the ocean. On the other side was this river that emptied into the ocean.
I don't want to go now. No, it's going to be an adventure.
Oh, definitely an adventure. Marguerite says that she got some horse manure and it was steaming 110 degrees.
Ooh. They sometimes have manure fires where it just starts to like
Is that like spontaneous combustion?
It does, and they get so hot. Yeah.
She said that they rototilled it into the soil, and she said that was even hard, but they waited 2 months before planting.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, so if you're going to let it sit and let it break down a little bit, it's going to be fine.
Ferment.
Fermenting manure.
Yeah.
Lenore wants to know if it's crocodiles or alligators. It was both.
Oh,
Lenore.
Really?
They have both.
They have both.
They were in caimans.
Oh.
But we were talking about crocodiles, some of the sightings there.
Yeah, crocodiles.
Jan, I was going to mention
nice
this
trip.
too. Jan in Brentwood said she plants her roses in old horse pastures. And she's never had to fertilize ever her roses.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, right.
An old horse pasture.
Yeah. Yeah, and she's got corrals, so. My neighbor told me I could have all the horse manure that I wanted. She moved in across the street and had horses, miniature horses too, and then got rid of them all. So no horse manure.
Now no more.
Why?
She said it was too much trouble.
Yeah, it could be.
Because going out and taking care of them every day, and what do you get to do? But, I kind of wonder if it was really that much trouble, because when she got rid of the horses, she got 50 goats.
Well, I think horses, that's a lifestyle. You got to be into it. Ride them, take care of them. No, I don't think it's just something that you do part-time.
Right.
Horses are a commitment.
Well, that's like Janine, because, John's talked about this before too, where I really have liked the idea of having a goat, but I don't want to just have a goat, meaning I want it to provide me something. I'm either going to raise it to eat it, or I'm going to have milk from it.
And keep your lawn short?
Well, yeah, but
We used to milk a goat.
You used to?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
We
what I'm
had
saying.
a goat, Nubian goat.
So I would want something. I don't want to have a goat just to have a goat. And that's kind of like a horse. Like, I don't think I'd want to have a horse just to have a horse.
Just to get manure.
Like, I want to have it for a reason. Like, I want it to pull a
Well, most people that have horses ride them.
Well, but if it's a pygmy horse, you can't ride that.
You're an old goat milker from way back, aren't you?
I think they're called miniature horses, not pygmy horses.
What did you call it? Is it miniature? Oh.
Yeah, miniature
I thought you
horses,
said
but
pygmy.
there are pygmy goats.
Yes, pygmy goat. That's what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah. Miniature horses, you can't ride those.
I have a rose called pygmy red. I had one called pygmy yellow, and I lost it, and I really would like to get it back.
Then it met pygmy red, and then it created pygmy orange.
Yeah.
No, just pygmy red and yellow. John says that Serrano Creek Stables up in Lake Forest in Orange County, that you can get horse manure from them, composted.
Yeah, and there's a lot of places. I mean, because they have to get rid of it, meaning
Gotta go somewhere.
Any place that has animals, if you were to probably ask them for their manure, they'd have no problem giving it to you. And you can even go Mount Merritt Mountain mushroom farm up by where Plug Connection was, Oasis.
Right.
It was on the way there. you used to be able to get mushroom compost from them because they would use horse manure to grow the mushrooms, and then when they couldn't use it anymore, you can get mushroom compost.
I've never been a fan of mushroom compost.
No?
No.
I feel like it's already been
Well, you don't have to
used up.
cheer for it.
It's already been used up.
And it's really salty too.
Mm-hmm.
And those are commercial businesses. If it was good and it could be reused, they would reuse it, right?
Yeah,
but they
they're
throw
not.
it away.
Exactly. Yeah. But yeah, any animal place is going to love to get rid of their manure.
Carla mentions that at least you get milk from a goat. I guess goats versus horses.
Yeah, you can't milk a horse.
No.
And you could get goat cheese as well.
That's what I would want
Goat
to
cheese
do.
is really good.
I would, if I was to have a goat and I could milk it, I don't think I would get it for the milk.
Cheese.
I would
It's
make
great
cheese,
isn't it?
It's
Yes.
not easy to make cheese
No,
from
it's-
goat milk,
No,
though,
but
because there's not as much fat in goat milk.
look at you, goat expert.
Well,
Well,
he's
we
the goat
had-
milker.
We had
You
goat
are
milk.
an old goat
milked a
milker.
goat for almost 2 years.
You got to know that goat really well.
Oh my!
He used to butt you, didn't it, with his horns?
To feed this goat, by the way, it was the fastest eating goat I ever saw. We would put it in the milking stall, and then where its head would go would be a big bowl of its food.
Uh-huh.
And it was timing. How fast before the goat finishes this food can I finish milking it? Because I'd be milking the goat, and if it ate its food before I was finished milking, it would just go crazy, kick over the stand. The milk would go flying everywhere. So I always gave her a huge bowl.
I was going to say, can't you just give it more food?
Anytime. Hurry
Well,
up,
no,
hurry
by
up.
the time you go to grab more food, it's already done.
Get a bigger bowl.
She didn't want to have any part of being milked. If it was
Wasn't
a
into it.
trade-off for her, if I can have the food, I'll put up with this.
But if there's no food,
Right.
I'm not having it.
So anyway, we finally got rid of it when kept getting out and eating the roses.
Oh,
Got rid of it.
Yeah.
He doesn't really tell us what he did with it. Hey,
And-
we have to take a break.
Oh, I was
to
going to
the
say, and
pasture.
it did like to butt you if you went into the.
Of course.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, one more segment coming up, and that's going to do it, gang. Do stay with us on Biz Talk Radio and Facebook Live. Thank you for tuning in to Garden America. Okay, we have returned. We've made it to the final segment of Garden America on this weekend prior to Christmas, those on Biz Talk Radio. This is a pre-recorded show from last week. Thank you for tuning in. So we got about 7 minutes, guys, to do our thing here before Christmas.
Are we going to do a New Year's show too?
Yes, we're back for New Year's.
Next week we'll be here.
The
right?
new year,
Yeah.
we are back. Tell your family, tell your friends, tune in.
Want to know
we're going
next
to give
year,
some inspiration also what to do in the new year.
and
Right.
we want to know your gardening resolutions for the new year, right?
Yep.
And you guys too.
You know, I've made a resolution not to have any resolutions this year. It's going to be very easy to keep. It's the one resolution you can keep.
Isn't that a contradiction, though? You made a resolution not to have a resolution. That
Yeah.
by resolving that, you've already broken your resolution.
See how quick that was?
Yeah.
John's going to be thinking about that driving home.
It's like an alternate universe. Those things just give me headaches.
Right?
That and when you watch a show where they're going back in time.
Well, I understand that.
I read a book one time. This just popped into my head by Charles Williams. Charles Williams was a contemporary of Tolkien and
J.R.R.?
and C.S. Lewis. And they used to meet together for drinks in pubs, right? But Williams was a fantasy writer too, but his were more psychological novels. And he wrote a novel one time where they discovered a ring that could send you back in time. And so these guys that are searching for it find it. They're all excited, but they go, how do we use this? How far back should we go? And the guy goes, well, we don't want to take a chance and get lost somewhere. Let's just go back 20 minutes. So it goes, okay, we'll go back 20 minutes. Then as you're reading the book, you see these guys talking. Okay, we found this ring. What do we do? It goes, let's just go back 20 minutes. And they were stuck in a
Repeat?
loop. Yeah. And it gave me a headache, thinking of that.
You know, the guy that did our Rose video years ago,
Yeah.
there was a guy in Los Angeles who did all the editing, so on and so forth. And they hired me to do a voiceover promo for a video they were doing called 15 Minutes Ago.
Uh-huh.
And it's the same premise you're talking about, John, going back every 15 minutes. And I think they did get stuck in some kind of loop. But would you be afraid if you went back too far you couldn't come back?
Do you ever see Heroes with Hiro Nakamura, who could control space and time?
No.
And he would always go back and wonder where he was. But he was able to move pretty easily. Marina says she's got one more question. She has 2 climbing roses, Don Juan and Eric Taberley, and she planted them in a shadowed place 4 years ago, and they came from a good breeder in Slovenia, and they're growing very slowly and not a lot of flowers. Okay, one of the things, first of all roses like as much sun as possible, yes. But climbers, any kind of climber, it doesn't have to be a rose, will usually adapt to some shade, because if you think about it, where does a climber grow? It's got to grow up on something, right?
A fence is a good example.
Or
a tree,
trees,
right?
Right, yeah, if they're out in nature. So usually, not always, some roses are able to take more shade. And it's usually the older
variety.
No, the multiflora type roses, the hybrids. Those roses usually will take more shade. But Don Juan is a newer climber, a hybrid tea.
Well, Don Juan, he was a climber, wasn't he?
And it's a little bit of American humor there, Marina. But one of the things, both those roses you have bloom better on old wood, so you want to make sure that you don't prune them like you do regular hybrid teas. 1-year-old wood is where they're going to bloom their most. If you have a lot of old canes, you can and you want to reduce the size, you can take out 1 or 2 a year. But growing slowly, one of the things I would look at doing if they're growing up a tree where there's a lot of shade is thinning out the tree, so you can let more sun in.
More light in. Okay.
And then also think about the nutrients feeding the rose. The rose has to compete with the tree for fertilizer. So give it a little bit more food than you would otherwise. As a matter of fact, you might want to start a little compost pile with that horse manure and then give it a little more than you would the other roses after it's composted.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll even whenever I know there's competing plants, you can use a water soluble fertilizer on that specific plant, and it'll go right into that root system compared to a compost or granular fertilizer where you're just letting it seep into the ground, just to give it that extra little help during the times of year that you want it. Because roses specifically, they'll take up water and nutrients real well compared to other root systems when they're competing, but getting them established and growing might be a challenge. So yeah, a little water soluble fertilizer just on the rose will help it as well.
Tanya says that she loved the TV show Heroes, but partially because her son worked on it and created some of the visual effects.
Oh, fun.
Look at that. You just never know about our viewers and listeners, do you?
Yeah.
People from all walks of life. Okay, guys, we have about a minute. Final thoughts.
And that's it?
That's it. And the
then
show's
it's
over.
Christmas. And then it's Christmas.
And then we have one more show, our New Year's Eve show, next weekend.
A lot of people talking about what they're having for Christmas dinner. You guys having anything special?
Turkey.
No.
We're doing turkey again.
I haven't even thought about it yet.
Are you doing? You're doing the leftovers from Thanksgiving?
No.
You still do.
Right? Still having leftovers.
We made ravioli.
Oh yeah.
Once a year, make ravioli. Jesse comes over, helps.
Nice. think I'm going to do some kind of beef steak.
Beef is
prime
good.
rib, something.
Beef is good.
Aren't tamales
Christmas,
traditional?
Yes.
Yeah. You're going to have those? No.
No.
Oh.
Thank you for tuning in. Those on Biz Talk Radio, thank you for your support, supporting our sponsors. Those on Facebook Live who tune in each and every week. Have
Merry
a very
Christmas,
Merry
everybody.
Christmas.
Yeah.
Have a safe weekend, a safe week, and we will return. We will resume the frivolity next weekend right here on Garden America. For the entire crew, I'm Brian Main, John Bagnasker, Tiger Palafox. Merry Christmas. See you next week here on Garden America. Take care.